What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. It is Friday. And some of y'all are going to be celebrating a holiday weekend. Those of us who have served, we know this as Memorial Weekend. Some gave most, but there are some that gave all. And so today, as a part of community, as going into whether it's celebration or doing Veterans Day activities or veteran supporting memorial activities, whatever it's going to be for you this weekend, I thought I would come hang out with somebody in my community. I got Dr. Leroy Simpson in the house. What's going on, brother?
Life is good. I'm here in health, life. I couldn't be more blessed if I tried, but I'm gonna let God continue in that area for me. But I'm happy to be here.
Oh man, I appreciate you coming to hang out with me for a little bit on this Friday. So for those of you or for those that don't have the pleasure of having you as a part of their community, can you give them a little snippet of who you are, where you are in the world, and then we'll get rolling.
All right, no worries. So my background is industrial organizational psychology. I still think one of the best fields in psychology because it's business oriented, workforce oriented, job oriented, career oriented. And I love it. I'm also an investor and associated with two investment businesses. One that actually does small business bonds to raise capital for small businesses, just like cities and municipalities. And I'll get more into that later. And also, I'm part of an investing firm that's totally virtual, which is actually a startup, but has such low overhead and more relationship building that I'm head of community on that. So bringing aboard investment advisors, insurance advisors, and rocking and rolling in that area. And I'm also a professor at Maryville University as of now, and just trying to make the world a better place through a little knowledge, a little education, but a lot of connections. So,
Man, but could you do any more? I mean, and again, I know you're super intentional, and all of those things make sense. And those who've been around me for any amount of time, I say a couple things: values and alignment. And when you think about just the doctor work in the IO space, and then the business connection, like help folks figure out the connection for you.
well, that's a good question. So, for me personally, studying IO psychology is really taking a look at that world in which we work because we spend 8 to 12 hours of our days there. So, I took up the residence in field to really study and examine, like, asking a lot of questions. Why do you go to work every day? Obviously to pay bills, or is it to pay bills? Why do you have this relationship with this company? How far do you want to go? Is it your person job fit? Is it work-life balance that you're after? We ask so many questions about work, but I don't think those are the questions that pertain to us so much as pertaining to the job. I mean, face it, Lawrence, our world is changing rapidly, right? It's not really about working those odd jobs anymore. Now, most of us, I'd say, have realized it, but I think in the minority space, I don't think we're there yet because we're still of the way to, work hard, get rewarded, work hard, get rewarded. But in that business arena that I studied, I question, are you working hard or do you need to work smart? I mean, do you want to put in more hours to get maybe 15 or 20 more dollars, or do you want to take what you have now and invest it so the money can work for you? So it's so many questions that I ask because, like I said, I have that other love, which is investing, and I couple the worlds two together because the fiat space is something that I really want to delve in and explore. So those are kind of my connections to both psychology, or the IO psychology, and the investing part of it, or the financial part of it.
Yeah, and that's interesting the way you approach that, Dr. Simpson, because to me it begs a conversation around when you ask those questions. It's the questions aren't, and for those out there listening, those aren't to be nosy. Those are like the coaching open-ended, like the curiosity. And so you can actually figure out if I need to be on the behavior side of things to begin shifting mindset, or introduce you. Well, it might be not a or, but and introduce you to a new way to process life. Because let's be honest, I grew up in with parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles that were just from that generation of put head down, work hard. That's how you got ahead. And so
Right.
how are you approaching that, not as a judgment, but as, hey, that's been a reality, but here's something new. How are you doing that from a nuanced perspective or from your side?
I think of myself as a business partner, not a business asset. And let me elaborate what that means. So, part of my interests, I should say, is looking at the job roles itself that are out there, right? So, when they say sales operations, accounting, and I look at all of these roles and you read them and it's like, well, if you have defined responsibilities, then what you're doing is exchanging your time and talent for money, right? So that's an asset. I mean, that job role is a ledger in an accountant's book. Funny I mentioned accountant, I mentioned it twice. So when you think about it, does the company want you to come in and just do your job and go home? Or are you learning that business to where you can share the wealth that you generate? That's the business partner of it. It's like I bring something to the table, but I don't bring my talent to go home with and exchange with. And this is what's gotten me really in a lot of disagreements over the years, because I've always looked at things and I'm like, you know what? I see this differently. I see that differently. But in most of my work situations, I haven't been in that role. I haven't been in that capacity. No, we just need you to sit down and do this. And that's why I've kind of fought this so much. But I look at things, it's like wanting to be a business partner. In other words, yeah, I'm coming to the table to do something for you, but you got to be a good fit for me too. And I've walked away from some interviews, quite a few actually, because it didn't fit me as a partnership, right? Assets are something that we buy, we purchase. Those headphones you wear are an asset, right? The video camera that you're using is an asset. But Coach Lawrence is not an asset. Coach Lawrence is a person. Dr. Simpson is a person, right? So I look at it from a business partner point of view, and I encourage everyone to do that, because you got to look at things. It's like you're going to share your time with these people, which I call the company, and you're going to be in this for hours that you've agreed to coming aboard, right? So, I mean, wouldn't it be, and I'm going to think very crazy like a mad scientist, what if you came to the interview and said, you know what, I only want to work 6 hours a week instead of 8? And we all think in our minds that's never going to happen because it's our job and we need 8 hours. So what if you said in an interview that you want to work 6? See, we're not trained to do that because, just like you said, especially in the minority space, it's like get a good education, get a good job. And you know what? That has instilled some value, but that value is so outdated now, especially with all the technology that we have, with all the opportunities that we have. And now we need to start thinking like business partners. Like, look, I bring X amount of money to the table in my talent, in measurement. This is what I'm bringing to the table. What can we do for thee? But going even further than that, we have to look at it as a human partnership as well. So
yeah, and you just messed up the human resource manager in me, because I used to pontificate about us as employees as being assets. We're the most valuable asset of a company, but I think that actually does something to the mentality of an organization, of they begin to process us as widgets as well, instead of humans doing. We actually are the human beings, and so that insinuates we actually need to be interacted with from the perspective of nature, nurture. What do you need from me as an organization to be whole, be well here, versus you're just another part. You're a part of the cog in the wheel, which is another thing that people have. I feel like a cog in the wheel. But if we were continuing to perpetuate how we see people as assets and not as actual people doing a thing, then that's why a lot of that mentality was there, and why we said, you know what, or we have that mentality of I'll just replace you. Like, people aren't parts. Like, but that's been a part of it. And again, I have to acknowledge that as like, you know what, I'll just go get another one. You'll go get another what? Another person or another thing? And so that's where the conflict, I think, mentally, like, so and I think Man, you just hit something there. You look, Doc, you ain't even doing, and I'm sitting on the couch. And that's how we find ourselves disassociating from what we do on a daily basis or how we interact, because we're seeing that other person as a transactional piece of something versus I'm dealing with Dr. Leroy Simpson, the person, not what I need them to be for me. And man, dude, you just messed me up right there. Yeah, I like it. I like it. That's why I do these with smarter people than me. That's why it's boss and friends. So when you think about just that from an investment standpoint, and you have to shift people into this other level of thinking about how we interact with each other and experience folks, like where do you find yourself starting with most people?
Well, in terms of interactions, and this is something I had to learn because you know what? I feel this is self-taught because again, I had the knowledge, but I never had the relationship build. I wanted so badly to be a consultant and a management consultant and an organizational development specialist. I got caught up in all that glitz and glamour when, in all honesty, I was doing nothing more than perpetuating a stereotype, if you will. Like in IO psychology, it's more classified that we come in and we help improve the organization. But why are we doing that? You know, aligning humans is hard. It's hard to impossible, and even more so, you got to align humans to the values that the company has. But suppose I disagree with the company, well then you're fired. I mean, isn't that simple? And that's that asset attitude. It's like you retire a truck. You drive this truck all these years, and the asset depreciates over time, gets older. Oh man, it gets older, that person gets older, but you know what? That truck, I guarantee, will have a lot more value than that person will. Why? Truck costs more. Person doesn't cost that much. Truck does heavy lifting. Truck doesn't talk back. Truck doesn't take sick days. Truck doesn't need benefits and all that, but it does need maintenance. So that asset mentality is carried all over business, but this is what business people were taught. It's like when you step into that workforce, you're an asset. I mean, let me ask you, kind of retort with a question. Can you be friends with your CEO? Can you walk into your CEO's office and have a casual conversation that has nothing to do with business? But we're never taught that. We're taught like how to maximize talent by dollars per hour, how to properly staff a company with the right labor. But we never think about the human aspect of things. And I very well had the question as an IO psychologist of why am I doing OD in alignment when I'm looking at the way, and this is employees saying it's like this company's never done this company's never do that. You can do all the OD and the talent management in the world. But you know what? When it all comes down to it, it's like, are you friends with your employees? And if you say, I don't need to be friends with you, that's a company you need to get away from, like people leaving the Titanic, because you're going to be unhappy there. And I had to figure this out along the way. And I guess it comes with experience. And I realized that the companies that I want to work with and come for, I got to call them friends. We got to sit down and eat together. We have to connect on some level. I mean, that's just human relationships in general, and business has sucked the life out of that, to be honest. You can't go to work and hang out with your coworkers because it's all about that. So, I mean, Coach, let's kind of think back to, let's just say if Armageddon happened, no office buildings, no internet, no nothing, how will we survive? Will we say, you know what, Lawrence, your job is to go and gather food, and we need at least 8 buckets of food by nightfall? And you looking at them like, there's no civilization. But I say that is that there are so many silos that are put up in the workforce and in cultures and things of that nature. And going to the investment part of it, it's like, how much are you investing in me for my time? Because, you know, the one thing you and I will always have in common is that we can't get June 12th, 1987 back ever again. It's done, gone. We can never go back in time. So we have to figure out how much is our time truly worth? How much is it worth for us to go to work every day for 8 hours? And a lot of companies are struggling with that because the employee is awoke. Like, they are awoke, and they are awoke big time. Because you know what? I'm looking at all these higher level VPs They don't have to struggle for a house payment. They don't have to worry about where my daycare bills are coming from. They don't have to worry about me feeding my 2 children or 3. They don't have to worry about that. But so they duck and they do the ostrich thing by being inside their business for so long. But the employee, the ones that actually are doing the work, doing the customer facing, it's such a segregated world, to be honest with you. It's such a segregated world. And I think that where my investing kind of, I don't know if I'm going off on a tangent, so I apologize if I am.
No, it's all good, man.
Okay, but long story short, it's like, when does an organization truly become an organization? When do we come in and take care of everybody? When do we stop by title and start by relationship?
Yeah, I think you just hit something there, and particularly around the work that I want to do, that I'm doing with my PhD work in organizational leadership, and it really not being about being that internal consultant, but it really be about what do the people in your organization need you to be from moment to moment. And that means we actually need to be present in humans, and not say transactionally, I hired you to do a thing, Leroy. Why aren't you doing the thing? Instead, the approach from from us as coaches, it says, hey, what's causing you not to be able to do the thing? How are you? Right? Exactly. Was it that text message? Like, I saw you check your phone, and like, we do have a production floor policy where no cell phones are allowed on the floor, but I noticed the worry on your face, right? Like, what'd you just see? Who just texted you? What's going on versus bad widget, discipline issued now, right? And
bad widget, yeah.
For us, I think you're really introducing what people over the past year and some change, and that pause did happen for a lot of people, and now they're being awakened to. People have actually said, okay, that used to be important, but not so much, because life happened for us all in something. We had to cope with some things over these past year and some change with this global pandemic, social unrest, all these things we had to come to grips with how it impacted us. And those who haven't, seemingly organizations who continue to try to figure out how to make money, if they haven't stopped and asked their people, how can we invest in you? Like, that's a huge question for a lot of organizations, particularly those who aren't leaning into developing a skill set there of how to actually have these conversations. And so for you, that's a huge conversation to take to a group of leaders. How are you introducing that to them as a need conversation versus make space for it now? I check that box and then hopefully they'll go away.
I can talk about this all day.
Yeah. Throw group of leaders are sitting in front of you, Dr. Simpson. What are you rolling out to them?
You know, and this is something, again, I had to learn on my own. You know, I'm going to try and be very vanilla about this.
Please don't. I told people I'm on I got podcasts, being humble, open, and transparent. And the only reason why you on here is because you're a part of that crew.
All right. That's why I've never really aligned with corporate cultures, because all they want to hear about is productivity and numbers. And you may care about that as a business leader, but as an employee, I don't care. But there's a reason I don't care, because you haven't introduced me to the boardroom. Do you sit down with me and go over the numbers of the company? Like, as an employee, why should I care? Like, and I knew something was missing when I worked my corporate capacity job. Something was missing. It's like, why are we segregated? So I can't go in the boardroom and see what's going on with the business, right? Yet no, you want me to stay and do this role, and I'm supposed to care about what happens to the company? Give me a break. Give me a break. That's that industrialization attitude that has been set since 1920. And I've done really, really good reading into this. People were like assets, and that was good for mom and pop, grandpa and grandma. That was good for them. It was an understood relationship. But we have evolved. Humans have evolved. And dare I even say, walking into boardrooms, I say that, why you have such a shortage of workers? Because they're wise now. They look at your jobs and they start reading the job. They don't read the titles anymore like we used to. They start reading the responsibilities. They're going to ask the questions. They got degrees, man. And you know what? Higher education has some fault in that too. In a sense that they've taught more of the subject matter rather than the objective, meaning that, okay, you're an accountant, you're a financial planner, but what's the point? Like why? They answer the what, but they don't answer the why, and they expect students to answer the why. And when a student applies for a job, that's why I look at title, because that answers the what and not the why. So when I talk to business leaders, I say one thing and say, look, you need to start developing relationships with your people. Work is good all day, but what's wrong with doing an 8-hour project in 4 hours? Why do I need 8 hours work? So what? You can make another 2 million, 3 million? There's a method behind that madness. It's like you're paying me 10 to 12 to $14 an hour. Well, if I look at company revenues, and you know what? If you really want to be fantastic of a company, let employees look at your balance sheets and your income statements so they can become business partners, but they're not going to do that. They're not. That's radicalization. They're going to just give the managers, because they don't talk to the actual employee or the associates rather. And it's like, well, you need to do this, that, and the other. But I guarantee you, none of the employees, few of them do. I can't lie to you. But most of them don't answer, why do I need to do it? Why? Why is it necessary for me to work an 8-hour day? What's the point of that? Can I get this done in 4 hours and enjoy the rest of my day? Like, Coach, I got to be honest. I think that I would stress to business leaders to start questioning, how can work become more effective and efficient and still make the amount of money that you can make? Because let's face facts here. You don't need $2 trillion to store. What are you hoarding cash for? The next apocalypse, the next economic downturn? Maybe that's it. But let's be honest. What is the percentage of you and I seeing $2 trillion? Do we walk in Scrooge McDuck's money bin and go swimming in cash? No, we do not. Why? Because I don't think we'll never get there. So let me not say that. But to you and I, it's more about our time. Like, you want to spend time with your family, with your lovely wife, with your family members. And I want to spend time with my family members. And I think if business leaders start integrating that, I think they'll have a better chance of hiring, because it's like, and the employees are wiser now. It's not just about, hey, I have a job for you and I can exchange, and then for that job I can exchange money, not a lot of it, but I can give you a fixed amount. Do you want it or not? And the employer's like, no, I don't want that. I got a degree. I invested in myself. I have bills. I have kids. You know what? If you're not going to worry about that, I need to. And since I'm going to worry about that, I don't want to be in your operation, because it doesn't balance. The two don't balance out. So I think, in answering your question, going to business leaders with this type of ideology, I think the ultimate answer is, how can you be active in your employees' lives well beyond the exchange or the trade of talent and labor for dollars?
Yeah, dude, that's and as a thought, something you introduced throughout is, it really speaks to why leaders, the way that the world is operated up before the pandemic, and now, like you said, what's coming up as important for people is being in these spaces where I really have seen, with 6 hours of effort at work, I've actually done 2 days worth of work, when I don't have to do the cubicle politics or the walking of the floor to say hello to everybody before getting to my work. Still be intentional about relationship building, but be intentional about relationship building. And that now become the process and the standard for everybody in the organization is to literally be intentional about interacting with other human beings, not just doing for something. And I love your exchange of am I exchanging my time and trading my time for whatever dollars you think my position and what I do is worth. And so man, we could talk about this for days, man, and I could just listen to you drop bombs on people. And for you, I how can people find you? I want them to hire you. Those organizations who are ready, right? Talk about how they can find you, how they can work with you. And I want you to put qualifier out there. Who don't you want to reach out to you?
Mm. Man, first I gotta ask: is this a PG-13 podcast or adults, or is it going to be shared with kids? No, I'm just kidding.
It's live. So I put it
I'm
out there
kidding.
like that.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I
No,
got
no. To answer your question, so I mean, I'm on LinkedIn a lot because, and actually, kind of my thought on LinkedIn has kind of transversed into more building relationships because again, I never put emphasis on that. And I had to reach that organically. And I'm glad I did because it's really about connecting more to have a common purpose, not just I do business and I do this type of work. So what? I can tell you who I do want to work with. So I'm gonna start off positive. So right now, like I said, I have two ventures, which is like I said, small business capital investing and bond raising, and well as another business, which actually has led me to most of these revelations or confirmed revelations for me, which is core planning investment management. So honestly, Coach, I think that the best ways to reach me is on email because my email I have it connected to my phone. And all that's on LinkedIn as well. I also have a website called Connect.io. That is a social networking site that I built to connect IO psychologists to employers, right? I'm out there on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the best way to reach me. And the organizations I want to work with is those I can make friends with. I mean, honestly, if we have nothing in common, I don't need to work for you, period. I don't care if I'm good in the industry. If you believe in cats and I believe in dogs, well, I mean, we can't vibe. You like vanilla, I like chocolate. You like you like Mexican, I like Italian. I think we can respect the different likes. Now, I do agree with that, but to try and force something together is just not commonplace to me. So I'm looking for organizations that accept me for my personality, my character, and who can let me learn something. Because again, I'm not solid enough to where I can be like, oh, I'm me and this is who I am. But I have certain likes, I have certain dislikes. And unfortunately, unlike you who served my country and the way you've done things to keep my freedom intact, and I appreciate that, and to all the veterans out there, I appreciate that because you know what? You all do tremendous sacrificing that I can't even fathom. But I'm very appreciative of what you all have done. But at the same time, it's like I want to be where I can grow. I want my work to be meaningful. I'm not really on the whole make money trip anymore because now I've seen the evils of that. I've seen the evils of that. I cannot blame these labor shortages and stimulus checks because people see it for what it is. I mean, the pandemic, we value life. We don't know if we're going to be here tomorrow, knock on wood. The COVID-19 has proven that. But you have some employers that say, hey, come back to the office anyway. We got vaccinated. You got masks now, which goes to show you that do you care about me? And you know what? That is a question I think we should ask CEOs and managers. Do you really care about my life? And a die-hard question. See, again, this is being a business partner. This is being the business partner. But like I said, to find me, like I said, I have core planning, which is www.yourcoreplan.com. My profile is on there. And also, again, you can find me on LinkedIn. as well. I have actually two LinkedIn pages. One I do my business ventures on, one I do my IO psychology on. But just look me up, Leroy D. Simpson. I'm on there. My contact information is on there. Facebook, if you want to reach out to me as well, and social media, and um, that's pretty much how you can connect with me in those areas. I'm connected all the time.
Yeah. Appreciate you, Dr. Simpson. And y'all, I told y'all, man, I know some people. I know some people. They make me look good. And I definitely appreciate them for it. But thank you for coming to just drop some gems in this little bit of time we spent on this Friday. But those of you out there that want to connect with Dr. Simpson, please connect with him, invite him to your organization. And you heard what he said. You better have some virtual food available, or at least send him a DoorDash so he can get something of his liking. So y'all continue to be well, continue to be safe out there, and we'll see you all soon. Have a great one.
All right.